Each and every Call of Duty kind of puts its own footprint into what Call of Duty is shaped like moving forward. Like, for example, going back to Call of Duty 4, we had the addition of create a class, leveling, kill cams. Modern Warfare 2 added in multiple different kill streaks, calling cards, emblems. Black Ops 1 had theater mode, Nuketown, and each Call of Duty kind of has its own thing that is carried forward to shape Call of Duty to what it is today. And I truly believe that there are three things that will be happening in Black Ops 6 within the game. Some of them include gameplay, some of them include how the game is being released, and some of them include something else altogether. But there are three things within Black Ops 6 that will change the landscape of Call of Duty forever. And that is what I wanted to talk about today. And this kind of came up because of something that was released yesterday, or at least somewhat released. It was this.
We on a mission. Take action to death. Set out the goals of the
So Call of Duty, specifically Black Ops 6, is coming to Game Pass. Now, this may not seem like a big deal, but it is for a couple of reasons. First of all, if you've ever just wanted to try a Call of Duty game, you can sign up to Game Pass for like, I think the first month is like $1. By the way, this is not an ad whatsoever. And then of course you can try out the game and then cancel it if you really want. And I think they even refund you if you don't like it. But on top of that, you also get access to a bunch of these other games that you have saw here. So this is really our first marketing promotions that we've seen in regards to Microsoft and specifically Xbox. Because if you didn't know, this is the first Call of Duty that is being released underneath Microsoft after they bought Activision Blizzard King last year. So why do I say that this is so game-changing for Call of Duty? Well, it comes down to how people play video games. Now, why do I say that this is so game-changing? Well, it's for a couple of reasons. If you told me years ago that you had to pay a subscription fee to play Call of Duty, I would have told you that you are crazy and that nobody wants that. But technically, if you buy Game Pass and you only play Call of Duty, you are paying a subscription fee to play Call of Duty. Now, I would say most people that own Game Pass are going to play the other game, so it's a very different story. But I remember back in the day, there was a rumor that they were going to charge a subscription fee for this. I believe at the time it was called Call of Duty Elite, and people lost their minds over it. But now this is very similar to that. And I think more than ever, it has been more of a viable option. But the way that the games industry has moved over the past few years is these games as a service style games like Call of Duty and Warzone are generally free to play games. And really, the only way that Call of Duty in any sense is free to play is Warzone as of right now. But if you are a Game Pass owner, then all of a sudden Call of Duty becomes a little bit more at your fingertips. And I truly do believe that more people are going to get their hands on the game this year because of Game Pass. I believe it is definitely going to be there. And I would love to see what the numbers as a whole are going to be, but for sure, it'll change up the way that people are playing this game. And I'm wondering if it will ever make Xbox, Blizzard, Activision ever just second guess whether or not Call of Duty should ever go free to play. It's a question I've had for years, and maybe this year will bring us closer to an answer. So the next one I'm going to go through super quick, and that is Omni Movement. Now, this one is pretty straightforward. Omni Movement changes up the movement that we've had in Call of Duty over the past few years with sliding, slide canceling, and everything in between. With Omni Movement, you can now sprint, dive, and slide in any direction. And of course, with this, it speeds up the game and makes it feel very different. And after playing the beta for Black Ops 6 and then going back to Modern Warfare 3, I truly believe that after Black Ops 6, they have to make a decision in one direction or another. Are they going to stick with Omni Movement for years to come, or are they going to go back to the traditional movement system? And I think it will depend on how well Omni Movement does this year. But based off of everything that we are hearing, it sounds like Omni Movement is here and here to stay. And that is one of the reasons why Infinity Ward is having so much trouble with Modern Warfare 4 or whatever their next Call of Duty game is because Infinity Ward doesn't like Omni Movement and is having big trouble implementing it into whatever their next game is. I have a whole video on that. It'll be linked down in the description. Thing number 3, I'm actually going to have 4 things in here now because I just thought of another one, and that is the way that camos are going to be unlocked this year. So we're going to have a new prestige system that we have talked about before, which is kind of a hybrid of the old system and new system. And when you buy things, it'll kind of unlock them permanently, but that's another conversation conversation for another day. The thing that I am talking about here is the way you unlock camos, because no longer do you have to level up your weapons to unlock camos. You can start unlocking camos from level 0 on a weapon, and to me, this is a no-brainer. This is the way the camo unlocks should work, because then as you are grinding to level up a weapon, you can be completing challenges to unlock these camos. Now, I don't know if that means that camos are going to be easier or more difficult to unlock this year, if they're just going to up the amount of numbers because you don't have to have the weapon leveled up or not. We don't know what any of these challenges are looking like yet, but what we do know is camos are coming in Warzone, multiplayer, and zombies, all 3 modes. And for the first time ever this year, like I just said, Warzone is included in that. All right, last thing. So this one I think is going to be overlooked by everyone, and it is because everyone is already complaining about it. And that is the fact that the maps in this game are all mid to small sized maps. Now, I don't think that's a proper take, and that is the way that Treyarch worded it, because there's still going to be larger maps. I believe Rewind and Red Card are going to be the longest maps based off of what they've showed us. So those are going to be your large maps, but they're just medium sized compared to what we're used to for large maps for Call of Duty. Now, if you would have told me that a Call of Duty was doing this before the Black Ops 6 beta happened, I would tell you that this is a genius idea, because year in and year out, the maps that everyone plays are the small maps. They play the nuke towns, they play the shipments over and over and over and over again. Therefore, if you just put a bunch of tiny maps into the game, it'll add more small maps and more diversity to the maps that people are playing, where they can still play these teeny tiny maps. So I would have told you that that's a good thing. And then the beta for Black Ops 6 came out, and this was the announcement, and people didn't love the maps. Now, I want to be clear. I don't know whether people didn't love the maps because they didn't like the design of them, or because they were all too small. You can let me know what you think down in the comments, but I truly believe that if Black Ops 6 is extremely successful this year, we may never see larger maps in Call of Duty again. Like, I'm sure there'll be some in there, but you may have noticed that this year with Black Ops 6, there is no ground war mode. There is no sort of fire team mode like that we've seen in the past. There is just 6v6 and strike maps, in other words, 2v2 or 6v6 maps, which are very, very tiny. And unlike previous years like Modern Warfare 2019, where they were moving towards this more ground war style, kind of more Battlefield-esque maps, now they are doing the reverse, and they are going smaller and smaller. And I truly believe how well this does and the feedback they get off of this will shape what map design will look like in Call of Duty moving forward for years to come. At least that's my opinion. You can let me know what you think down in the comments. But just to recap really quickly, the things that are changing this year that are going to change the landscape of Call of Duty moving forward is number 1, coming to Game Pass. That is a pretty big thing that I think a lot of people don't realize how big those implications actually are. The way that camos are going to work, you're going to be able to start unlocking them immediately when you play the game. Omni movement, I think that's a pretty obvious one. And finally, we have maps. Maps in this game are going to be different than what we have ever seen before. No more big maps, which I thought was a good thing, because if you remember, everyone used to hate Stonehaven in Call of Duty Ghost. If you know, you know. But that's what I think. Let me know if I missed anything down in the comments. We've got much more coming, with some more story videos coming later this week, including some Black Ops 6 ones. So make sure you stay tuned, hit that subscribe button, like button, all of that kind of jazz. And until next time, peace.
We are reaching for the stars, but